2005, a year that, in retrospect, was pretty bad when it came to film releases. Sure, there was the odd memorable or good movie, but it was pretty stale and uninteresting. However, there was a film that, while it didn't get a bunch of attention or even a theatrical release, was a standout, a diamond in the rough, and this is that film.
La 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 la.
This is Klay World. Now, if you don't know what Klay World is, you probably accidentally picked up one of these at some point. Klay World was an old web series that was on Newgrounds back in its heyday. Don't know what Newgrounds is? You disappoint me. Newgrounds was founded in 1995 by local BBC aggravator Tom Fulp, and was a website really ahead of its time. You could upload flash games, animation, art, and even talk to people on forums. Newgrounds was before YouTube and is debatably better, but that's a can of worms that I'm not opening yet.
Eat up, kids. It's not an offer, it's a command.
Klay World really stood out on Newgrounds as being the only thing that wasn't made in Flash. It was a stop-motion animated improv series about... It was about... pancake mines?
Flippy. Gotta be slick.
Hot dogs?
Yeah, well, get off my back, you old man.
Homicidal doctor? The show had no story, but the reason it was great is because it was like Tom and Jerry with all the amazing, creative, cartoony violence. Except with more red stuff and wagging fingers. The show had no plot, main characters, engrossing worlds, thought-provoking morals. It was just about random clay people dying or killing each other in cartoonishly brutal ways with fully improvised dialogue. Nothing? No. Oh, okay. Make that a movie! Again. To be fair, there were some recurring characters and ideas, so for the most part, the movie idea wasn't bad. A movie is a good next step, especially if you make a good, successful show. And like I said, Klay World was good, and it was successful. Apparently people thought The Simpsons couldn't make a film. But they did. So making a film based on a successful web series, sure, why not? I'll let you kill me if you don't have a reason not to. The film was released on October 15th, 2005, exclusively on DVD. Now the copy I have is the 2007 release, and yes, it matters. There were 3 different DVD releases, one in 2005, one in 2007, and one in 2012. The 2005 release was in widescreen, while the 2007 release was in full screen. Other than that, the only differences I could find were the special features, and apparently in one scene the music is changed from drums to a violin. I also apparently have the worst DVD release. Cool, glad I got it. The film apparently made over $80,000 in DVD sales, according to the fan wiki. And according to IMDb, the film only cost $1,000 to make. The film stars Robert Benfer, Nikki Benfer, Robert Benfer, Tom Fulp, Robert Benfer, and Robert Benfer, Chris Pratt. The film has some cameos by some other voice actors, but about 87% of the voice cast is just good old Robbie Ann, the writer, director, and creator of Klay World. Apparently the film is the longest Klay animated film ever, according to IMDb. There's no reason for me to tell you that, I just think that's interesting. Anyways, I think it's about time we move into the film. Pray to your gods, everyone, because we are rolling. The film starts off with 20 seconds of silent logos. Sin. Now, the first line and shot of a film is arguably one of the most important. It can set a scene to show the main character's growth, or make you not want to watch the movie. So what memorable, thought-provoking line do we start with?
Ooga.
You know, this film is better than Citizen Klane. So these aren't our main characters. Shocking, I know. They should be coming any minute. Oh, here they are. Our real main character is Chip, voiced by Robert Beanfur himself.
That's very nice, Uncle Brown. Can we go home? I think we've done enough time traveling.
Chip is time traveling with his uncle, Dr. Brown, and his best friend, Rick the Prick. Yes, that's his real name. He's not even mean, he's just called that because it sounds good, I guess. They've traveled to some sort of caveman era and interact with said cavemen, and this is where you'll see one of the biggest things that makes this film Klay World. The film is improvised. While I'm sure there were plot points that were thought out, the entire film has no script, and it's not hard to figure that out. So after some great improv by Rabbit Benfur,
I'm gonna stick my finger in your mouth.
beautiful, Chip, Rick, and Uncle Brown travel back to the present. Why that scene was there? Duh! One of the cavemen pulls out an electric stick. Okay, and we get our opening credits. Funnily enough, though directed and written by credit is almost impossible to read. I literally just woke up so I could record for this video. And, my line I say is, credits. Funnily enough, though directed and written by credit is almost impossible to read. I wrote that when I wrote down some notes when I watched it on TV, my TV, but I guess I just have a really bad TV or something, because this is completely readable on this screen. I was gonna cut the line, but I thought it was funny, so I'm just gonna keep this explanation. Hopefully this doesn't ruin the pace of the video. Back in the present, Robert Hood tries to set up a motivation for Chip.
That's it. I'm not gonna time travel with you anymore, Uncle Brown. Everybody thinks you're so good because you have a time machine. It's not fair. I've done a lot of cool things. Nobody even pays attention to them. But you and me are gonna make it big someday.
It's implied that Chip is jealous of all the attention his uncle gets, seeing as though said uncle has a time machine. But all we know about Chip is that he wants more public notoriety because of his uncle getting more than him? Like, I'm not kidding when our entire introduction to this character is just what he wants and not even his personality. This is the first time we're seeing him, give me something. And here comes something now with a semi-funny bit with Chip and an old man named Vince.
What are you kids doing? I don't approve of this at all.
Proof of what?
At all, I don't approve of this. At all.
Me and my friend are just sitting here. We're not really doing anything. Really.
You know what? See this?
Yeah.
This is a fine piece of bed right here. Yeah, right there.
That's a bed?
Yeah, you count sheep on it.
It's a pretty crappy bed.
It's not a crappy bed
Yes,
at all.
it is.
It's perfectly good. God damn it. Put it back together. Let's see. I'm like pine. Toss that.
Fun fact, this is the moment I realized the script for this video would be impossible to write. The film has a lot of bits like that, while funny, could be entirely cut out and nothing would be different again except for a few laughs. But seeing as this is a comedy and an unscripted comedy at that, it's not a big deal.
Just another day in Klay World.
He said it! He said it!
Fun fact, there's also some deleted scenes that cut out some other nonsensical bits. So Rocket clearly knew this. So the story actually kicks off when Dr. Bob, one of the only reoccurring characters in Klay World, you know, this guy, announces that different Clay people have made contact. Of course not after an awkward death scene.
Oh god. Oh god. Help. Help my heart. My heart. Is there a doctor here that can help me? I need a doctor. Oh god. Is there anybody here that can help me? Oh, I'm dying. I'm dying.
Now, while I do think this goes on a little too long, it does tell us that Dr. Bob is an awful doctor, which is not a surprise to anyone who's seen the show. Dr. Bob then passes the mic to Mr. Black, who basically says the exact same thing. Mr. Black says that a resident named Smiling Gary heard aliens talk to him through his pink radio. By the way, Smiling Gary is the best character to ever exist. Mr. Black calls up Smiling Gary, and Smiling Gary says basically the exact same thing.
I was, listening to my pink radio, over there, and, aliens started talking to me.
Mr. Black says they're gonna build a truck and leave the house for the first time ever, and find the aliens. The world meeting is adjourned, and Rick has a screw from the past for some reason.
What did I tell you about stealing things from the past? You can screw up the space-time continuum.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure talking to cavemen will do that too. Chip then hears some really loud mumbling coming from the radio, and we get a transition that's in a pirate font for some reason. Listen, I'm all for representation, but pirates have had it good for way too long. I'd like to say before we move on to the next clip that this film's audio is very loud at very random intervals. It can be downright ear grating, and this is the best scene to show you that. This scene introduces Pick, a character that screams a lot. That's nice. Even when he's not screaming, the mic peaks and he's so loud you're just hoping that he's part of the 41 dead body count. But anyways, Chip and Rick meet up with Dr. Bob and Mr. Black to join the team and go on the trip to the outside. Chip's logic is that if Smiling Gary gets to go on the trip because he heard the radio signal, that means that Chip and Rick can go as well because they did too in the scene that didn't make me want to claw my ears out. But Mr. Black says, "No." Drama. Reason being because Smiling Gary is only coming along because his discovery is what kicked off the mission in the first place, which makes Chip very upset.
Rick! Get back over here! I'm not done with him yet!
The reason why Chip wants to go on the mission is kind of confusing. He says he wants to get out of the house.
But, listen, shut up, okay?
No! You shut up!
I want to get out of here, and I'm not going to let two professionals who know what they're doing tell me what to do.
But then when he's asked why he cares so much about going, he says it's because of his uncle?
Whoa, hey, stop crying. Come on, why is this such a big deal to you anyway?
I have this uncle, and he invented this time machine so he can travel through time, you know?
Going on a mission to go outside for the first time in Clayman history and bringing back the first alien life would help him make it big.
But you and me are gonna make it big someday.
But he never mentions that he wants to be part of history or the fame that comes with it. He just mentions his uncle who can travel through time. It turns out, however, that Mr. Black invented the time machine and Dr. Brown stole it. Pikuri! Drama. After asking where Dr. Brown is, Chip says he'll only rat out his uncle if he can go on the trip. Don't worry, Mr. Black. Dr. Brown should be easy to find. After all, you're all on a table. In fact, where did all the other Claymen go? Anyways, Chip and Rick are brought on to the team.
Alright. Well, we got 2 new people helping us now.
After that, we get this out of nowhere scene.
Hey, slow down, man.
That's a rock. Yeah, but he's a very fast rock. He's probably got a dentist appointment or something. That's probably why he's in such a hurry. Give me a high five.
Yeah, this scene goes on for 45 seconds. I guess we get to see the first bit of Klay gore, so that's nice. And the most violent the film gets. While the original web series wasn't exactly the banana splits movie, the violence was still more than just red clay. But anyways, we get the pleasure of witnessing the majesty of Smiling Gary looking for the group so he can start building the truck. I would watch Smiling Gary buy clothes with glee. He's such a fun but simple character. I love him. Luckily, he doesn't seem to mind that Chip and Rick have joined without him knowing. He doesn't even get introduced to them, and they act like they've known each other for as long as Chip has been standing there.
I've been standing here for forever.
Yeah, that. Whatever, I guess it's time to build a truck in a montage. Fun fact, this really awkward shot with Smiling Gary getting hit by that box was actually because of a deleted scene that would have ruined the pacing in Dr. Bob's arc.
Okay, guys, this guy is dead. This guy is dead, and we gotta hide him. Because we can't have a lot of people dying under my care like this. It makes me look really, really bad. And people are gonna realize that I'm not so good of a doctor, and I can't have that.
So they don't end up building a truck.
We can just order one off the internet.
How do you have internet? Who pays for it? So they go to present the truck to the rest of Klay World, after a pull the curtain gag that goes on a little too long. They pull the curtain, Gary falls over, and a voice actor sounds like he walked into the wrong movie.
If you guys really build the truck, how come it's Nickel Max on this side?
But it turns out Rick and Dr. Bob are staying behind, much to the surprise of Rick. Chip explains he had no idea and leaves Rick to run off crying. And thus Rick's arc begins. No, I'm not kidding. This film surprisingly sets up a lot. For instance, after the truck leaves, Dr. Bob throws an axe that lands in the face of a random Klay person. That axe is there for most of the film, and it comes back in the climax. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Gary, Mr. Black, Pick, and Chip head out in the truck to the front door. Right when we're about to see them leave the house, we cut back to the table where Dr. Bob and a new character Marv, who is not voiced by Rabbit, set up something, I don't know. From what it seems, he hooked up Gary's radio to a makeshift antenna and gave the people in the truck and themselves both a walkie-talkie to communicate. Then what's the point of the pink radio? So back to the people in the truck, the door opens for them for some reason, and they get their first look of the outside.
Well, let's go. Oh my god!
Whoa.
What was that? Okay.
You guys know what cars are, why are you so shocked? So they raise their flag and drive out of the house, starting their adventure. With some nice poorly edited music, you gotta have those.
Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough?
We got back to the table for no real reason except to establish Chester!
Tell me this. How were you able to get that car to fly?
The car doesn't fly. The car's not able to fly. That's impossible. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a high five, man.
He'll be back in the climax. We cut back to the truck group and they decide to go out of the truck and look around, I guess. The way that Ron Burt Weasley films the green screen in these outside segments is very distracting in a way. Basically what he did was he animated the segments where the Claymen are outside on a green screen, which makes sense. The problem is the lighting is so bad in some shots that the Claymen look evil in a weird way. The weirder thing is that most of the shots with Gary look good and even somewhat convincing, but some of the shots have this weird color to it that just makes it look super fake. You got most of the shots with Gary, right? What happened here? Speaking of Gary, he should be in jail for how much he steals the show.
Are you even listening to me?
It's a bird. He's eating the grass. He's mad at the grass.
And Mr. Black says he doesn't like to be made fun of.
I didn't answer, so that way I know whether or not these guys are making fun of me or not. Because I hate when people make fun of me.
Take a wild guess where that's leading to. We cut back to the table where a news reporter interviews Dr. Bob for a news channel. While Dr. Bob is talking to the newscaster, however, a man starts to have a heart attack.
My right side or my left side? A lot of people say my left side, but I think I'm more. Kevin, help! Kevin, what's wrong with you? We need help over here!
Dr. Bob ignores it like last time, but now is told to prove how good of a doctor he is and save the guy. So he walks up to him and... Yeah, everyone gets mad at him. Yeah, it's a bit out of character, but it fits the story. Shut up. Another thing that's nice about this is that Dr. Bob is still likable, at least in his own way. You can still root for him despite the fact he's killed tons of people and you honestly agree with the angry Clayman. I know it's just because you're not supposed to take any of this really seriously, but making a character that's supposed to be an awful human being likable is something that is way harder than it looks. I think the reason Dr. Bob is likable is because Claymen are as disposable as napkins. The deaths are in a comedic tone and are glossed over, and that helps the violence be more enjoyable and the characters more likable. But anyway, all the Claymen want Dr. Bob all gone. Even Vince, who apparently goes way back with Dr. Bob.
You and me go way back, and you think I'm a good doctor, right?
Whatever that means. Dr. Bob realizes no one wants him and possibly kills the newscaster. Then we cut back to the truck and all who inhabit it. They park the truck to talk, I guess. Maybe it's an excuse to animate on a flat image. But this is when stuff picks up. Chip asks about a piece of paper that's never been mentioned before and will never be seen again. It's apparently Mr. Black's master plan for what to do, according to him. Chip asks to look at said paper and is met with this.
Hey, don't let Pick get that paper. He's about to grab it from you. Ah, damn it, now I gotta get it away from Pick. Pick, give me the paper.
And the twist is Mr. Black's an idiot? Chip, losing faith in Mr. Black and his leading skills, confronts him about it, even asking if he knows what he's doing. Mr. Black practically responds with, no. Yeah, that sort of makes Chip mad. Chip asks Mr. Black to pull the car over. After he does, they have a fight. A verbal one, that is. And it ends with this.
Men make mistakes.
No, you're not a man. You're a woman.
What?
I know you're. Yep.
What?
Yeah, you're a woman.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To spare you your ears, Mr. Black goes crazy and gets in the truck and tries to run over Chip, while screaming.
Oh my God!
Take a wild guess where that's leading to. In any other film, I'd say this came out of nowhere and made no sense. And yes, this came out of nowhere and made no sense, but it's Klay World. The rules are there are no rules. Mr. Black giving a more ear-splitting screech than a baboon late for a meeting and trying to run over Chip is nothing out of the ordinary. But Mr. Black crashes the truck, and it seems like he's not gonna make it. He says to use the time machine back at the house that I'm sure you still remember to go back in time and stop all this from happening. So yes, the last 14 minutes of Outside has been almost completely pointless. How do you know the aliens can't help? And more importantly, is this really worth aborting the entire mission for the sake of Mr. Black's life? Yeah, apparently, because the film goes with it. Also, despite Pick being in the front of the car, which is way more dangerous than Mr. Black's position of being in the driver's seat, Pick is only mildly scratched. What? Pick should be in half. How is he okay? Maybe it's because of his amazing ability to teleport between shots. How did you miss that? And it wouldn't be a scene with Pick if it didn't make me wish the barber did cut my ears off when I was a kid. Was that a jump scare? So after a good night's rest, Chip, Pick, and Gary try to go back to the house. But apparently they have to go the long way because the way they went up is too steep, apparently. I don't know. Okay, let's see if anything's happening at the table.
We should get that armless guy to be our drummer. Wait, Jeff, what are you doing? Jeff, stop. Stop that. Jeff, what are you doing? Stop that. Jeff.
Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary here. You get used to it. So Marv finds out that the pink radio needs a bigger antenna if both the walkie-talkies can communicate. They set up the big antenna and everyone gathers around to hear Chip. Glad they can hear him because I sure can't.
And we can't find the edge of it. It's like one big giant table, except it's not made out of wood.
After Chip says he has to go home empty-handed without the aliens, Marv and the others get mad at him and call the entire trip a waste of time. And Rick even breaks the walkie-talkie. Chip, however, doesn't seem super phased that the entire table hates him. Then we meet the most annoying character in this film.
Everything's back to normal. Let's dance. Na 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 na.
He doesn't have a name, so I'll call him 3 in the morning, because he makes me feel like when I saw my dog went to the bathroom on the floor. Angry, confused, and a little scared. This might be a personal thing, but are you really running out of voices, Mr. Robert Benjamin? The whole whisper talk thing is just so hard to watch.
Oh my God.
Call this a really boring Tim Burton movie because aliens are about to attack.
Oh my God. Whoa.
Be quiet, be quiet. Jimmy, calm down.
Holy Jesus. We've been looking for you.
So, over halfway through the movie, we get to meet our main antagonists, the aliens. You got King Womp, the Tongue Alien, the Brainy Alien, Freddy, Wagon, and Twin Aliens 1 and 2. These are their actual names, by the way, I'm not making this up, check the credits. The leader, King Womp, tells the Clayman that he and his alien lackeys walked to the house on foot, and they've been going to different Klay Worlds for years, meeting them and bringing them to his Klay World. This is interesting for a number of reasons. This implies that the Claymen we see are one of what could be millions or billions of different species of clay people. King Womp says clay people come in different sizes, colors, and shapes. And forgetting for a second that the Claymen we know have different races, this opens up a whole new world, pun intended, of opportunities. I can't wait for them to not do anything with it. King Womp, however, tells the Claymen that they're some of the worst he's ever seen because of their simplicity.
I'm gonna be honest. You guys are probably one of the worst Claymen that we've ever run into. You're just blobs. There's nothing special about you.
You've been doing this for years, and these guys are some of the worst of the worst? I mean, yeah, they're morons. But they can clearly make radios, newspapers, food, microphones, toys, time machines, etc. I get we're not supposed to think about it, but shut up! So King Womp tells the Claymen that he's gonna kill all of them and turn them into better versions of themselves. Not sure what that really means, but who cares? Massacre time! Nice. So the aliens kill a bunch of Claymen, with only Dr. Bob, Rick, and 3 in the morning seeming to survive.
Oh my god, just one of them. He's gonna come in, he's gonna kill us. He's walking around. Doesn't anybody else care that we're gonna die? What are we gonna do? We're gonna die, we're gonna die. We're gonna die.
But luckily, an alien comes to take, yeah, Rick. But who cares? Smiling Gary is singing a song.
I wish I was a flower today. Yes, I do. I wish I was a flower today.
Oh, Gary, never die. Especially by being run over by a truck in a scene where the music's too loud to hear any of the lines the characters are saying. So Chip drives on what seems to be a highway. This joke was dead before I wanted to be. Yes, unfortunately, Gary dies. Just like everything I love, Chip and Pick don't even go back for him because they drive into some train tracks. You know what would be funny? If a train hit Pick but not Chip because he jumped out of the truck in time.
Oh, I think I know what I'm doing. Okay, we better get off this truck. Come on, Pick! No, cover your eyes if you're gonna do anything. Listen to me! Get out!
Wow. What a sticky situation. So back in the house, the Claymen decide to fight for Klay World and even kill one of the aliens.
Alright, guys, come on! Let's go get our table back!
Let's see what Chip is doing, I guess.
What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Alright, good scene. Pretending that scene didn't just happen, we cut back to the table where the Claymen are fighting against the aliens and even managed to kill 2 more of them. They even kill 1 more with the help of Chester! But King Womp has had enough. He kills the tongue alien. Okay, like, I get it, you want to establish he's heartless, but he only kills the tongue alien because he's in his way? Despite him clearly not being even in front of him? But whatever, King Womp slices Dr. Bob and the guy with the axe in his head, even though they're not dead. Now with only 3 Claymen remaining on the table, King Womp drags the bodies away to make a better Clayman and leaves Chester, a sliced Dr. Bob, and the axe guy to wait for their inevitable death. It seems like even Chip is giving up as he flops to the ground. Seems like all has been lost for our hero. He will never return home. Oh hey, look at that. After coming home and seeing all the alien dead bodies, Chip asks a reasonable question.
What the hell is going on here?
Dr. Bob explains what happened, and Dr. Brown returns from an assumably long time travel trip. Where have you been all movie? It doesn't even seem like he knows that Chip went outside.
You stole that time machine from Mr. Black, and now he's dead because of it.
What? Mr. Black died because he tried to run over Chip. Granted, Chip wouldn't have been able to come if his uncle didn't have the time machine and Chip extorted Mr. Black with the promise of telling him where it was. But I guarantee you Mr. Black would have died even if Chip wasn't there. Also, he wouldn't have died if you, Chip, just told him where Dr. Brown was. So Dr. Brown and Chip prepare to time travel back and fix everything and... he dies. But who killed him? None other than Rick. Yeah, apparently Rick is now a weird version of himself that has the powers of King Womp. What follows is a very enjoyable fight that feels right out of a kid's imagination. It's hard to explain, but the fighting feels so childlike. It's great. And I want a preference, that's a compliment. Rick grows his legs, he stretches his arms, he kicks, he points, it's adorable. Not only that, but we learn that apparently Claymen can also stretch their limbs. And after all that, Rick is defeated. But just when Chip is about to climb up and get the time machine that launched really high up, don't ask, King Womp gets on the table and follows him. Thank God that these switches conveniently moved to give Chip a ladder to climb up. How did you mess that up? Dr. Bob then uses his power of callbacks to kill King Womp once and for all.
Oh! Hey! Oh no!
So right when Chip is about to grab the time machine, Rick realizes he didn't want to go down like a little baby, so he grabs the time machine.
We just killed the last alien, alright? I don't know where you're gonna go. What are you planning on doing?
Oh, the aliens don't even matter. I have control of time. All I gotta do is go back in time and make sure that the blue people lose against the peach people.
You have time at your fingertips. It's a pretty dumb plan. Why not kill the Claymen and then find the aliens? Or yeah, no, Pick is dead. We saw him get hit by the train. How is he alive? Pick rides in and Rick falls for some reason. Doesn't look like Pick hit the shelf hard enough for Rick to fall over. Chip didn't fall, so anyways, Rick falls over and gets stabbed on the Klay World flag, and Chip goes down to the table to find that the time machine has been destroyed.
What? The time machine's been destroyed! Oh, no! That's a drag! Bummer! Well, I guess that's the end of Klay World. Yeah, but we gave it a good try.
But Pick motivates Dr. Bob to rebuild the Claymen, and it actually works. Listen, we have like 6.5 minutes left of the film and I'm done questioning things. Everyone gets rebuilt except for Smiling Gary and Mr. Black. I'm fine with one of those. And the film ends with a speech by Dr. Bob.
We're heroes! And we will remember all the Claymen who died to keep us alive. Whoever they were. But now we can all remember that no matter how small we are, or identical, or simple looking we are, we can... stupid aliens, we killed you!
So, my thoughts, it's stupid, it's dumb, it's inconsistent, it's unprofessional, it's Klay World, it's Klay World. Klay World is a hard thing to describe and rationalize. And honestly, that's great. I will always have a soft spot for Newgrounds cartoons and culture, whether it's old or new. I love this film not because it has a big scope or fantastic source material, but because it has great humor, a pretty decent soundtrack, and it's just pretty damn impressive. Remember, all of this was made by basically one guy when he was just 18. The story is not great, but it still has its moments. The animation is a little static and janky, but still has tons of charm and probably took a long time to make. And of course, the jokes are great. The genius of this film almost feels unintentional. There aren't many comedies where I still laugh every time I watch it, but this one still has tons of great jokes that I constantly quote. The dry humor is genuinely great and in some ways ahead of its time. There are a lot of annoying audio that is way too loud, or jokes that kind of overstay their welcome.
You're saying that you're gonna build a truck and leave our house?
That's what I just said.
You're gonna build a truck and leave our house.
Yes, we are.
You're gonna build a truck and leave our house.
Yes, we are.
You're gonna build a truck and leave our house.
Yes, we are.
You're gonna build a truck and leave our house.
Yes, we
You're
are.
gonna build a truck and leave our house.
Yes, we
You're
are.
gonna build a house and leave our truck.
There are also definitely a decent amount of times where it doesn't feel like a character talking, but rather a dude at a microphone. But the genius of this film comes from its amazing comedy, the impressive animation, and fun, but simplistic story. And even though I don't exactly hold Mr. Robert Rotten in high regards nowadays, this film is an easy recommendation. If you can still buy it. Hey guys, that was my video on the Klay World movie. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Shout out to my friend Gavin. He does music and he did the thumbnail for this video and I thought it was amazing. This video has actually been in the works for months at this point, so sorry if like some of the camera stuff is like not consistent or like some of the props or something, or my shirt. I hope you guys liked it. If you do, I do want to make more of these. They take a while, so I might take a while making more. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.